Hello, Tom Watkins, back with Fit Motion Graphics. Not posted for a while, so trying to keep the channel active with another projection mapping tutorial. So this one we're going to have a look at this sound responsive DJ booth that I've made. So a few cool things going on here, some interesting mapping, and got this sound responsive thing. You can see this one's coming from my voice, which is the mid-range. Got bass here, and this one's responding to the high end in the treble. And different clips as well, you can map different ways of doing that, and all audio responsive. So we'll have a look at that in a moment, but for now we'll jump into After Effects and we'll make a simple clip for us to bring into Resolume and make it respond to the audio and map it to the boxes. Good, so up inside After Effects we're just going to blast through a quick clip here. Just see, it's supposed to be about mapping, not about After Effects, so I'll make a new composition quickly, and I'm working at PAL, and it's just 1 second long. And just to show the shape that we're talking about, I'll make a solid here, and I'm going to divide the width by 2 and the height by 2. And basically this is the template that we're using for this one. So it's like that castle structure, so there'll be a clip here, and a clip there, and that's the gap that we're not projecting onto. So we want 3 different elements. This can count as the first one, that can go down at the bottom there, and just to differentiate that, bring the opacity down a bit. I'm going to make another solid, and this one will be the same height but a quarter of the width, so divide that by 4, and that will go on the far left. And then the one on the right hand side will be a similar one, so duplicate that and put that over on that side. So we'll start off with this clip. I'll pre-compose that, Control-Shift-C, and I'll jump into there, and we'll make the clips in here. So what I want to make is 8 little EQ bars that kind of rise up over the course of this second. So I'll start off by making a new solid, and I'm going to make this green. It's an EQ. And this wants to be the same width, but it wants to be 1/8 of the height, so divide that by 8, and I'll bring that down to the bottom. I'm going to pre-compose this one just so it's easier to change stuff later, so Control-Shift-C, and what I want to do is fade this up over a couple of frames. So I'll hit page down a couple of times, hit the T button, give us a keyframe there, and jump back to the beginning and start that at 0, so that just fades up over those frames. I'm going to make a few copies of this, so obviously that's Control-D again, drag that up, and push this along a little bit. And again, so we've got 4 copies of this green one here. I'm going to make another copy, but we're going to make this one yellow, as classic EQ, green, yellow, and then red when it's clipping. So I'm going to put a colour correction hue saturation on there. We'll colorise that, we'll completely saturate it, and we'll spin that round to yellow. Make another copy of that, and we'll put that one up there. And then for these final 2, we'll adjust this saturation to be more of a red tone, and that needs to be shifted up again. And final one, right at the top there. So that's our basic animation. Over the second, those bars draw themselves on, but we'll jump inside here and make each one look a little bit better. So inside of that pre-comp, zoom in a little bit, and I'll put a solid on top of there that will make black, and we'll put a vignette on top of this just by drawing a mask around it. Double click on that and hit M a couple of times to bring up the mask properties. We'll subtract that, we'll bring it in a little bit, and we'll feather that out a little bit. Okay, so that looks a little bit better on that, and right on top of that we'll put an adjustment layer, and we'll just to 3D that up a bit, we'll put the glass effect on and bring these settings down as much. So that just gives that little idea that it might be a little bit 3D. So that's really basic clip. And so that's just on that one side. Now, quick word on the render settings here. This is the transparency grid, so this shows which pixels are empty and which ones actually have animation on them. So we want to leave these pixels free so that when we bring it into Resolume we can put the layers on top of each other and they don't interact and intersect. So I'm going to export this, Control Shift /, but we want to go into the settings here, QuickTime Movie, DXV, and we want to preserve the alpha channel there. So that means that these transparent pixels stay transparent, and that will work better for us in Resolume. So OK to that. We'll stick that on the desktop. What was that? EQ, is that right hand side? Yep. So export that one. I'll just quickly show, we pushed it over this left hand side. Same animation there. And same thing with the transparent pixels. Export that one. I've got that as a preset. And we'll call that one EQ left. And then I'll make a third clip for this middle one, this one here, just so we've got 3 different elements to play with inside Resolume. So that's just showing the kind of clips we're going to make quickly in After Effects there. We'll go and map that now in Resolume. So we've got our clips, bring these in here. I made one for that mid-range, which is similar but slightly different, and so you've got left, right and the middle ones there. And what we'll do is put those all on one column, and because we've got the alpha channel there, they can all kind of play independently but all exist on the same column. That means we can affect each one of these differently, and that's what we're looking to achieve there. So I'll just pause these here, just so we've got less confusing lights flashing about. And what we're going to try and do is we're going to link the playhead here in the transport to React the audio. You can't do that just in Resolume on its own, so you have to download a plugin here that will help us do that. But that's free to download, and that's called IR OSC CA, and I'll put a link in the description. Go have a look at that, download that, and they'll give you instructions on how to install that. But basically, if you drop that into your effects directory, you should find that in your effects here. And great thing about this is you have to do a bit of typing in code, so it makes you feel like you're clever and you know about computers. I don't at all, but you have to sort of figure out what you're typing in here for it to work. So what we're doing is we're making it look at layer 3 and column 1, or clip number 1. That's right, you need to get the / in here. So layer 3, clip number 1, it's the video that we're wanting to change, and it's the position that we're looking at affecting, and it's the values that we're changing as well. Values. So make sure you spell that right, because if you get a typo in there, nothing's going to work. And hopefully, if you do spell all that right, that will link this run function here to your playhead, and that means you can actually apply your that EQ trick to this run. So again, audio FFT external, pump the gain on that, and that's linked a transport playhead to that EQable value. So that's great, so that's what we're looking for that. So I'll grab a copy of this code here, copy that, jump onto this MIDI cue, and we'll drop the effect onto there, and going to do the same thing. We need to paste that into there, change this so it's not layer 3 anymore, it's layer 2, and again link the run to the webcam mic. So now that one's reacting as well, same thing with this one, drop that on there, paste in that code, change it so it's not layer 3 anymore, it's layer 1, and again link the run to work off the webcam mic. Sweet, so they're all now reacting to the microphone I've got plugged in, but they're all obviously reacting in the same way, which isn't what I'm looking for there. So what we'll do is we'll pick the drop down here in this run function, and we'll, on this right hand side EQ, I'll make that react to the high end frequencies. So that's just picking up these frequencies here, and that's now reacting from that. On the mid-range ones, we'll use this drop down, and we'll make that so that goes on the mid-range, and on the top clip, we'll just leave that on the default, which is reacting to the bass. So now each one of these clips is reacting to a different band of the EQ, and that's working well. So pause that here, and then we'll go have a look at mapping that to the structure. Great, so we've got our sound reactive clips there, and we've got our boxes. Now we just need to make the two things join up together. But it's going to be tricky to map those just because there's so many lights flashing around. So I'll get another clip that's a bit simpler, less complicated happenings, and that'll be a bit easier to use those straight lines. So I'll pause that, bring that to the beginning just so those are a bit easier to map. And into the advanced output, nothing much happening in the input selection. That's all coming from the full composition, but in the output transformation, this is where the work's going to happen. So we'll bring up the guides to help us out. So we'll just do these four corners into the four corners and start to get this mapped. So it's a nice little, it feels a bit like a cheat to me, this. I don't know if it's the way that Resolume's really designed to be used, but it works quite well. Basically I sort of think it's kind of two ways of mapping. You can either make the full 3D structure that we talked about in tutorial number 3 it was, or the other ones I've done have been kind of 2D, so there's less depth involved in it. Whereas this is a nice compromise because you've got the boxes do go sort of forwards and backwards a bit, but also you've got a lot of flexibility with the positioning of your gear. And the reason for that is because I'm using these kind of add points to my advantage here. So just moving these around. If you look when I bring this next add points in, you'll see there's in total there's 9 points across the bottom, 9 points across the top, and the structure I've designed has been made with 9, I think, are they called vertexes? The sort of the corners of the boxes. So that means that every corner of every box is exactly lined up to where these adjustment points are in Resolum, and that means you can very easily adjust the corners of the boxes to fit with the corners of the boxes, and it gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of positioning of your projector. So it just feels like it's a nice kind of compromise between using a semi 3D structure but still getting this kind of easy 2D mapping. So whether or not that's sort of how it was designed to be used, or if it's just a nice kind of little cheat, but when you are sort of thinking of stuff to map, it's worth kind of bearing in mind that if you design your structure to have the sort of the adjustment points matching up with the vertexes of your shape, then you get a bit more flexibility. So that's close enough for that. I think I've done one that's a bit more accurately mapped. So that looks a bit nicer. So just get rid of those, and I've also added a mask to this as well, which I'll show you now. So we can close that out, let that play, or so that's one way of doing that. Obviously we came from these clips using the EQs, so now they'll be mapped nicely. And a nice thing, because this shape's a kind of a rectangle, you can also just use any old normal clip. So drop that on there, and this is what that mask was for, mask out that top bit. So then you can use a flat, normal VJ clip. This hasn't been designed to be mapped particularly, but it does all stretch out nicely. So just a couple of things to think about there. The idea of using this sound reactive IROSCSA, and the idea of using this advanced mapping and adding points to the corners just to add a bit of flexibility. So, thanks again for tuning in. Tom Watkins, Fit Motion Graphics. If you do have any ideas for other tutorials, do let me know. If not, I'll just catch you soon. Cheers!